Welcome back, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here. Let's jump into it again. Daft and dishonest AOC cites falsified ADL report. In 2019, Cory Booker and Kamala Harris were pushing an anti-lynching bill. Coincidentally, Jussie Smollett was a victim of a lynching during that time. Hate crime hoax to drive legislation? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is probably taking the play out of the Democrat Party's extremist playbook with her recent comment on right-wing extremists. Of course, when there are no stats to support your claim, invent them. AOC is daft and very dishonest by citing an organization that should be held accountable for fueling, propagating, and contributing to divisive speech and actions in our country by way of knowingly and intentionally publishing false information for the purpose of inciting division, hate, and violence in the US of A. ADL 501c, maybe we should fix that. AOC contributed to division and fueling hatred with false information when she came out to defend Representative Ilhan Omar, who has repeatedly demonstrated her hate for the country she is supposed to be serving and trivializing Islamic extremist attacks. You can see here the tweet in question. Just so you know, as a former firefighter, I'm on Dan's side. I'm not going to read the ADL's mission. I'll summarize it because they say it was created to defend Jewish people and to make everyone equal. But when you look at it, it's actually a bit different. The ADL has become a tool for terrorist organizations by way of running to the aid of CARE, and in itself sowing division with false reports and skewing of actual facts. Washington, 30 April 2018, PR Newswire, U.S. Newswire. The Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE, today commended the Florida office of the Anti-Defamation League for condemning the anti-Islam hate of a speaker who was recently given a standing ovation at a synagogue in that state. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the speaker at that synagogue was a Jewish person who likely condemned the murder of Jewish people by Islamic terror groups. A little bit of history of the ADL and its origins paints a horrid story. I'm not going to get all into this because it's a bit disturbing, but basically you have Leon Frank, who, when a young woman who was working there at his pencil factory illegally because of child labor laws, was raped and brutally murdered. He was sentenced to death. The ADL managed to threaten and bribe until his sentence was commuted. But, as I've said in the past, criminals have honor to a point, but not for child molesters. And Frank died in prison. So, of course, the ADL invented the word hate crime at that point. Of course, AOC is now citing the newly published report, Right-Wing Extremism Linked to Every 2008 Extremist Murder in the U.S. There's a little problem, though. If you see here, they're linking the Parkland shooting. Nicholas Cruz, a deranged and disturbed young man who should have been in a mental institution years ago. Not a right-wing extremist attack. Gregory Bush from Kentucky, history of mental illness. You also have here the tweet from Jason Riley. In February 2009, in Louisville, George ordered Bush to comply with mental health treatment and no guns. Gregory Bush was ordered by the court to get mental health treatment, but the ADL says he was just a right-wing extremist. They tallied the numbers to include Scott Paul Bierly, who was a deranged and mentally ill man who shot and killed 2 people and wounded others before killing himself in a horrific attack in a Florida yoga studio. Bierly identified as an incel, meaning a man who is celibate because he cannot have sexual relations with a woman because they are psychologically inept to do so. But we finally have the last one, and that is Corey Johnson. He admitted to stabbing to death Giovanni Brand, who turned 13 on Monday as the boy slept. He said Brand was idolizing celebrities, which went against Johnson's Muslim faith. Police say Johnson then stabbed his friend Eileen Simon 12 times and her 13-year-old son Dane more than 30 times. They both survived and were hospitalized. Johnson said he felt Diane Bancroft, 13, made fun of his religious beliefs. Eileen's 15-year-old son Kyle told police he and Johnson would often watch violent videos about jihadists online. You have here the ADL report, Nazism. One police report from an earlier incident involving Johnson characterized himself as liking extremists, fascists, Hitler, and referred to the teen as a white supremacist. He was Muslim. However, by late 2016, Johnson had become enamored with radical Islamist ideas and allegedly converted to Islam. He literally said he killed someone because their actions violated his Muslim faith. That means he did. He did not allegedly convert, he did. Johnson even reportedly attempted to reach out to ISIS, attracting the attention of both local and federal law enforcement, who also linked him to a threat to kill infidels at a British school. After his arrest, Johnson reportedly told police he had committed the stabbings because his victims disrespected his religion. To be included in the tally of extremist-related killings, it is not enough for an incident by its nature to seem as if it could have been committed by an extremist. Rather, there must be positive evidence connecting the murderer to an extremist group or movement. This is why one deadly incident that many have speculated has ties to white. I guess it ends there. The whole report and the findings the ADL put out was false. Here's their compare and contrast to Islamic terror killings. And you can see here that they're saying that over from 2009 to 18, there were only 12 incidents and only 100 deaths from Islam. I guess they're looking at one city in a very predominantly Christian southern town. Thinking about 2018, there are 3 deaths compared to only 1 reported by ADL. Corey Johnson killed 1 person, though ADL deemed it right-wing. Hafiz Kazi drove a minivan with propane onto Travis Air Force Base. Khalil Lawal mowed down pedestrians in Philly. Those are 3 deaths of the top of my head compared to the one they referred to after having done research. I'm also pretty sure that in 2017 there were more than 1 Islamic extremist attack, more like double digits, on U.S. soil with more than 9 dead. I'm actually going to stop here because this is driving me insane. Reading the ADL is like reading stereo instructions written by a dyslexic Italian man who's writing from right to left. Imagine that when you don't speak Italian, and yeah, you'll get the idea. But it's very simple. That the ADL doesn't care about facts, and you can see there, I almost sneezed. It's that time of year. The ADL doesn't care about facts. AOC does not care about facts. They care about power. They care about being obeyed, being praised for their wokeness. AOC in this one tells Dan Crenshaw that because he would not co-sponsor legislation, he doesn't have the right to speak out against a Muslim woman in Congress, referring to the death of thousands of people in New York City 18 years ago almost as some people who did something. One wonders if AOC is really a New Yorker. She, of course, likes to say she is. She likes to tell you she's from Brooklyn. She's not. But the worst terrorist attack in the U.S. in the last 50 years happened in New York City, presumably killing a lot of people from all over New York and the NYC and the surrounding boroughs. Yet, Miss Ocasio-Cortez defends Ilhan Omar, who describes that as some people did something. And the second part, the audacity here is she's saying that because he didn't co-sponsor a bill, which, if I remember right, was riddled with pork and other problems. It was not just for 9/11 victims' compensation. Trust me. Had it been, it probably would have passed with 100% Republican support and almost 0% Democrat, because without some earmarks and pork, Democrats don't like a good bill. So because Dan wouldn't co-sponsor that bill, he's not allowed to point out when people belittle the death of thousands of people in New York almost 18 years ago. So, yeah, this one to me should be like the eighth straw past the last straw for AOC, Tlaib, and Omar. I don't think any of them should have been elected, let alone sworn in. But now they're literally defending a woman who says terrorism is some people who did something, and Notre Dame is architecture. But we're not allowed to criticize her. We come back to the same thing over and over. Democrats don't like freedom. They don't want you speaking out against anyone they support, because to do so shows that they support horrible people. And that to me is pure Orwell. This is thought crime. This is Big Brother is watching you. This is don't step out of line or we will come find you. We have to stop this. And unfortunately, I don't see it ending anytime soon, because next year AOC will be campaigning all over her district in New York, promising free health care and free college and debt relief and free, 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 free. And of course, on the now we only have 11 years left until we're all dead if you don't let me pass my Green New Deal. Don't forget, in 2000, Al Gore said we had 10 years left. We're 9 years past that. And unfortunately, Soros money and the Democrat machine will probably reelect them. Although if Nancy Pelosi has anything to say, and she's still of the same mind as she is now, we may actually see AOC have some trouble. But that's enough for me at this point. Let me know what you think. Keep the comments civil. Keep the jokes to a minimum, please. And remember that we don't learn from an argument. We learn from debate. As always, please remember to like and share the video, as well as subscribe and activate notifications so you're one of the first to hear about new content as it is posted. Until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.